So today we're at East Coast Iron. It's actually a gym that reminds me of home. We have the rubber mats, the black walls, brick walls, and everything is all blacked out, so I already felt welcome. Today I was hitting my deadlifts on an axle bar for OSG Prep, which is official Strongman games. Today was particularly exciting for me because I not only got the Trump axle, which is 510 pounds, I was able to double it for 2 sets, and that felt fantastic. I didn't feel fatigued or worn out. From there, moving on to my accessories, I got some trap bar in at a heavy 400. I got some sandbag in for some extensions and sandbags to shoulders. So today I feel absolutely amazing. I got it all in and I feel great. I'm not lying on the floor dead, so today's a win for me.
Like Nadia, I'm also prepping for OSG. We're sitting about 4 weeks out from the competition right now. Training is going super well. Today I had log. It was supposed to be my heavy single day and then drop down heavier rep work day, but I switched it with my training earlier in the week to hit kind of my more speed day, hit 8 doubles with 230 pounds. I just wanted to hit my heavier single in an environment that I was comfortable in. Going to new gyms is always kind of tough. You don't know, especially strongman, you don't know what kind of equipment you're going to be dealing with. Although that is a good thing in a sense because you also don't know what kind of equipment you're going to be training with on competition day. Happy that I was able to train on a slightly different log today, hit those doubles at 230, moved on to sandbag runs. I was supposed to do the event for us is a sandbag medley where we do 50 feet of a 250-pound sandbag, load that onto a sled, run back 50 feet of a 300-pound Husfeld sandbag, run that onto the sled and then push the sled back. I didn't really have a good sled available, so I just ended up doing 25 feet for 3 down and back, 75 feet total of 250 and 300 pounds. Did 2 sets of that and then finished with the Atlas Stones, worked up to a top single at 340 pounds, which I'm very happy with. Stones has been the one event that I've been pretty unconfident on, and the gym I train at, I've been having kind of a tough time with the Stones there. One of my buddies who is very experienced in strongman, he told me that the Stones at this gym, this particular gym, are a little bit harder than what I'm gonna have in the show. I wasn't too sure on that, but having been able to hit the 340 today with no tacky or anything, that's around just a little bit under what the heaviest stone is going to be at the comp, and to be able to hit that today gives me a lot of confidence for the next few weeks.
Well, I'm currently in a prep for a powerlifting competition in 2 weeks. Kind of last minute, but that's kind of how I've been doing things lately, and I just want to get more experience just literally competing. And so I'm 2 weeks out, and today I had bench press. Bench press isn't extremely exciting for me just because it's not been like my best lift or whatever, but it's been improving, and so I did, I think, 295 for a set of 5, RP 7 or 8 or so, and it felt great. Like, that was like a PR, I think, honestly. And then John helped me do 315 for 4, almost 5 actually, and that was, I think that was another PR, to be honest. So I'm getting like a lot stronger, and I'm happy with that because I've been widening my grip, and so like if you can manage a wider grip, you have a lesser range of motion, and if you can be strong in that grip, which is difficult to do, it just takes practice and technique and whatnot, but if you can manage that, it's shorter range of motion and whatnot. So I figured that out, and I was able to do that today. Not like ideal conditions, like similar with any performance sport, you kind of want like a routine to where you can lock it down every time. And so when you have your own gym, you're at your house, like your home, and you can manage your food. If you have everything dialed in that way, you're able to predict the outcome a lot better. So it's been difficult traveling and doing that, but honestly, I think that's a good thing because then you can adapt to stress. And if you're good at adapting to those things, then when you really are in your own conditions, you can perform even better. So not like ideal in terms of like food and, well, food's been fine, but like food, sleep, travel, etc. It's harder to like hit your numbers how you want, but I was able to hit 820 pounds yesterday for a double at RP, like honestly 7 or 8. I tore my freaking middle finger yesterday.
What's that doing?
It's gonna be fine. Hopefully, I'm 2 weeks out, so hopefully that doesn't like mess up. But it's I don't know if it's like soft hands or whatever, but like my hands just rip. I think it's just like I don't chalk up enough, and I also get really sweaty hands. Anyway, so that was my training today. Was bench press. Yesterday was deadlift. So Nadia, I was gonna ask you, what is it like training for strongman? I don't know if you've done like other sports, powerlifting, bodybuilding, stuff like that, but what is the difference between strongman training for that rather than, you know, the other sports you see in the industry?
Strongman is actually my first sport, which a lot of people are surprised at. The closest I ever got to in high school was marching band. And don't get me wrong, that is exhausting, but I never played a sport. I did do one bodybuilding competition last year when I tore my Achilles, because I wasn't just gonna sit around and do nothing. Right. So I was like, well, I can stand, I don't have to run. The difference I would say between my bodybuilding training and my strongman training was very light. So we went lighter, higher repetitions, and it was more about pumping the blood, as opposed to with strongman, as you're trying to get your heavy sets, less repetitions and a lot more rest in between sets. So
almost similar to powerlifting in that sense.
It's very similar, where you see the memes and they're making fun of you taking naps in between sets. I was like,
just bring a lawn chair.
We're kind of in that category where it's like 3-minute rest. I'm like, can I have 5? So it's a lot longer rest, but comparing the two, strongman is so much more satisfying because it really shows you what the body can do, not just what the body can look like. And so it's been my favorite thing to train, honestly.
What about you, John? How is it different from like powerlifting for you and everything?
I almost have like a different experience from Nadia, where like she's having like longer breaks, and I think for me, transitioning from powerlifting to strongman, cardio, like my strength is already at the level I need it to be at.
You do have to do like those
sandbag runs. So I'm working with Big Laws, who's my coach. Coaches like Mitch Hooper, a lot of other top name strongman. And so one of the big differences from training for powerlifting versus now is I actually have timed rest times, and that was a little culture shock for me, because I kind of, you know, I'm not like the laziest lifter in the gym where I'm taking like, you know, 15-20 minutes, but like squats, maybe I'm taking like 5 minutes to like 7 to 10 if it's like a really heavy single, or so like an RP like 9 or 10 kind of. It's
also very different when you squat like 800 pounds. You know what I mean? Like you need like probably 10 minutes like effectively to maybe recover from something super heavy. So I mean, it makes sense, but also like you said, like your endurance isn't like mine's not either. I mean, I don't do much of anything like that, so you got to take like, so you're saying shorter rest periods and just more sets.
Like for squats this week, I had a 3x5 with 575 pounds. Normally, I would just kind of like do that first set, you know, go chill, wait for like my heart rate to come down, breathing to get normal again, and then kind of like almost like let myself like come back down, and then kind of like be like, all right, like I need to start like bringing myself back up to like get hyped for this next set. Whereas right now it's 3 minutes, which is pretty short for me, for especially like at that weight, like no matter how strong you are, like 5 sets with 575 is just, it's pretty difficult. And
so you just have to like stay locked in the whole time because it's shorter, right? So you can't like sit down, like chill.
I'm trying to like just kind of like sit, like almost just like bring my breathing back down a little bit, and then I've gotten much better. Like the first week I started at 500 pounds, and like that week it was just like I was like breathing. I was like, that third set I was like, I don't know if I can, like I have a whole nother like workout to do after this, like shit.
So it helps just like, I guess just like training it more, just training to be more efficient like with cardio, and that'll just get better over time.
And just being able to recover set to set, and especially because like strongman or powerlifting, it's 3 events. Strongman,
we have squat, bench, and deadlift. Like nobody cares.
We have 7. So.
And that's in like the normal range. Sometimes we'll even go up to 12.
Luckily, it's spread over 3 days. My strongman competition I did last year, Chaos Classic. That one was supposed to be 6 events. I ended up having to do a 7th because it was I tied for second. I went into it and I was just like, all right, I'm not gonna like, because it was funny because like the 3rd event hit and they're like, oh, we're gonna take a break. I thought it was gonna be like an hour. It was like 20 minutes. It was like that wasn't even a break. But yeah, like it was funny because I hit the 3rd event and 3 events for powerlifting, 3 events for strongman, and I just hit a wall. And like for the rest, the last 3 events, I was just like, I recovered just enough, like just in time for the event to start, and then like would finish it and just be like, I don't know if I can go on.
That's actually funny that you say that, because to me 3 minutes is like a long break. And
crazy.
so when I went to bodybuilding, it was more like 1 minute. So that was the main difference between that. That's one of my favorite things about Strongman is it proves who has the grit, who has that grind to keep going. It engages your fight or flight. Like when you're tired, you're gonna keep sitting back down, you're gonna pull out the show, or we're gonna see it to the end. So to me, it will really show who's who in these categories.
So 3 minutes was 3 to 4 is like for the compound movements. Now it's kind of going down to like 2 to 3, but the accessories are like 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
So like if I'm doing a leg press, that would be like 2 minute rest, and then like a leg extension or leg curl, that's kind of closer to like 60 to 90 seconds.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So Tyson, I'm actually very interested in your numbers, because seeing what you were doing today, you said those were both PRs. What are you projecting to hit? Like, are you going to save your final rep? I call them YOLOs. You only live once, to hit like the ultimate PR.
Yeah.
Or are they going to be more like calculated into?
Well,
like,
for
your
the bench,
percentages?
I don't know, because like with the bench, like there's so much potential there, just since I learned like a bunch of new things and I haven't done it for years and years. And so like honestly, I'm not surprised if I'll hit like another PR in like a week, just from like doing it more. With deadlift, it's so different, because that's like the only thing I've done since I was like 15 years old. Like that's all I did. Like I didn't do squat, bench, like anything. And well, I squatted like 500 when I was like 16 or 17, but that's because I did it for like more than like a month, and then I just stopped doing it because I was just so good at deadlift that I don't know, I started filming it in like my commercial, like little commercial gym where there's like grandmas like on the treadmill like above a pool, and I like broke their floor and I got kicked out of that gym. So like all I would do was film deadlift, because I was just like, I was good at it, and like
this is fun.
yeah, it was like before like reels and like TikTok and stuff. So like I just grew from like deadlifting, so that's all I did. And then I was like, okay, I'll just do this like every day, and I got super strong at it, right? But it wasn't like powerlifting standard or anything like that. But now that I'm like getting better at the squat and the bench, like it's been really fun to see that grow, because like now that I'm getting older, I just want to be more competitive in that space, since I think I do have a lot of potential there. Just like you see powerlifters that have huge totals, there's a lot of them that are really heavy deadlifters, and so that'll be like your biggest lift for potential to have a big total. So
I can see how that
It is a very strong advantage to have a good deadlift, just because it is the last event, so you can always kind of, if you're the last person to deadlift, you know how much you need to pull. And
just give it your all on that last one.
yeah. But it's also scary, because like that's the lift that can like either go really wrong or really good for me. Like, and it's, so like I was saying, like with bench, it's more predictable for me to like know what I'm gonna hit, since I'm just gonna be stronger, like I'm training it more. But with deadlift, it's like I could hit like 950 like a week before the competition, and then like the day of, the bar could just be like a little too sharp that day, and I could only do like 850 or
what's your typical jump from like second attempt to third attempt?
Brother, literally anything. It's like how good I feel that day. It's like so different. It's like I couldn't even tell you, like if like as of lately, it's been like at my recent competitions, it's been like open with 850, do 900, and then after that just send it. But like I said, like if the bar is too sharp, or since I'm not like really experienced in that way, I could just be training with the wrong bar all the way up until the day of the meet. Like my last one, I went for 1,000, and my coach said I had 1,000 in me that day. But the bar was too damn sharp, and I was training on a freaking stiff bar with no knurling, because I'm a dumbass. And I was like, yeah, I'll probably hit 1,000 with a kabuki bar that's sharper as hell and brand new. And I couldn't even get it off the floor because I just tore my damn hand. Yeah, so I'm just not like experienced with that stuff, and I'm like kind of ignorant to it, which is fine. I'm good to admit that or whatever. I don't really care, but I'll get better at it. I'll learn like new things, and every time I do a competition, I learn something that's like super important.
Absolutely.
For me to like implement in my next like prep or whatever. So, yeah, I'm fine.
But yeah, that was part of the reason I asked that, is because, like you said, like deadlift is the one that can go wrong, and like a bench, typically your jump from like second to third,
it's not like
it's gonna be like 5-10 kilos.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're like really strong, it's like 15 kilos. So if you miss that third attempt, you're not losing too much on your total. Whereas like a deadlift, you might be jumping like 40 kilos.
Yeah, but then there's like those people that like wear freaking, what are those, like bench suits or whatever, and they're like 1,200 pounds. I'm like, bro, like that's my deadlift. Like I don't understand how that's even like a thing. Like
Jimmy
how is
Culp's
that
going
even
for like
legal?
1,500 pounds, which is like,
I'm like, what the?
like for me, it's kind of hard to.
Can you even see like them locking out? I'm like trying to
really.
figure out if they even locked out, like they're doing like this, and then they stop there, and then they just rack. I'm
They're
like,
so
what?
wide.
How is that even?
with those bench shirts? Like I've
I'm
seen
like,
those.
yeah, I respect it, but also it's just like, what's the standard?
I like most of the equipped like lifts. They don't really like pique my interest too much. I'm like, yeah, like I respect what you're doing. Like we're all just trying to put up strong numbers, but I can't relate to that. Like I've never been in a bench shirt.
Right.
My first thought when I see someone doing that is like, okay, what can you bench raw?
Yeah.
But then like you get guys like Jimmy Culp who he's got like a 1,400 pound bench, I think.
Yeah.
And just like the thought of like holding like
That's
still like no matter like how
That
much
is true. Like,
no
you
matter
are
how much
low-key
like
holding, like-
the shirt is like helping you like do this part.
Yeah.
You're still holding.
that, yeah. And putting it down.
Yeah.
That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah,
To be honest
so-
with you.
Like that
funny.
when you get up to like those numbers, it's like, okay, that's wild.
But then you see also the same with the squat, like if they're all wrapped up and stuff, and I'm like, I wonder what he could just squat with like no equipment on.
The
like
squat's a little bit harder for me because multiply is like notorious for being very high.
Yeah.
And so like whenever like even if I see like a 1,200 pound multiply squat and if their legs are like at this angle, I'm just like
Yeah. Dude, they're doing like a sumo squat or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just barely get their butt like right there and then shoot up.
That's kind of how I feel about deadlift suits because they're becoming more popular in strongman, and the lockouts are getting a little soft, and the weights are going up. And I'm like, is that really a
that is one
deadlift?
thing
I'm like, lock
about
your hips out.
that is one thing on the like strongman size. Like I feel like some of the
That's
standards on the
not
deadlifts
a
aren't
deadlift.
quite as.
Unfortunately, I feel like our sport is now just reaching for numbers, and the standards have dropped just a little bit on like lockouts
I will
and
say
down calls.
the
and things
Shaw
like
Classic,
that,
they
so.
really kind of locked down on that.
He did that on purpose because
That's
he wanted
good.
to prove a point.
Yeah, that
he
was
was
good.
kind of tired of
I know some people will, like, I think initially like some people were like complaining about it, but then a lot of the competitors came out and said like, no, that was the right call.
Because we would rather it be fair. We would rather everybody have the same standard, no favoritism. So it's kind of like the bench shirts versus the deadlift suits. Like, how much of an advantage are you getting?
Yeah.
Are you getting that full range of motion? And does it really count? Like,
Right.
I have the same thought. I want to see what you can deadlift raw,
That
as
makes
opposed to all suited and geared up. So
Yeah.
it's across all the sports now, equipped.
I think one of my favorite like differences between strongman and power, like kind of in a funny sense, is that powerlifting, like you don't need to go to the rules meeting, like, but strongman, they're making like decisions at that
rules meeting.
They'll be like, hey, should we do like no dropping of the implement, or like are we balancing the deadlift, or like touch and go, or is it dead stop? I was at one show and they were just like, like let's do no touch and go. You have to
That's
dead
strongman
stop.
for you. That's one thing too, is it's so good for just like life, because not only can you go out in world and lift things, you'll be able to adapt to things changing.
That
like
is
you have
true,
to
right?
adjust.
It's like-
Those rules are very important, because let's say you miss one sentence, don't drop it. It could cost you a whole show because
Yeah.
you dropped something.
That
So
is
you
true.
have to pay attention.
And then like another difference was they program, or they like told us like the weight for the yoke at the show was supposed to be like, I don't know, like 600 pounds. And I remember just looking at it and be like, that doesn't look right.
You'll always have stuff.
And then like the first like 3 people went, and
This is wrong.
and like they didn't do as well, and I was like, guys, like, how heavy is this yoke again? Like you said it was like 200 pounds, right?
And that will happen.
And they're like, oh shit, that's like 675 pounds.
Yep.
And they're like,
It's
well,
almost like you can't prepare for like what's to happen.
Yeah.
There's just so
Yeah.
many different possibilities.
but at that point, like 3 people already went, so they're like, all right, I guess
to
like
leave it,
this
yeah.
is the new weight.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You have to be able to think on your feet, and you can't let sudden changes frustrate you. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing.
You almost
Okay,
have to
that's what we're
train
doing.
just to know that there's something else going to
Yep.
happen. Like you can't train for like this and this and this to happen. You have to train just to allow your mind to adapt to those kind of changes.
Like I'm glad it's not the level of like CrossFit where they literally don't know anything about like
Yeah.
some of the events.
That's a bit much for me. I need to prepare.
That's one thing. Like I know they've done like some mystery events in the past, and like I don't think I'd do a show with a mystery event.
It's not my favorite because especially at a smaller size, if it's something that's too heavy or technique-wise, I need to know what I'm doing so I don't get injured. So
Yeah,
I'm
I was
not
gonna
a big fan
predict
of mystery
something
events.
like that. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It'd be very difficult to just adapt to those kinds of things.
The risk of injury on something like that is just like so high.
Right.
So
So the mysteries are not my favorite, and thankfully they've kind of gotten away from that because they see that we're not prepared, and it makes the show really look bad if there's a bunch of zeros.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's taught me to be literally a stronger individual because I don't need help outside when I need to pick things up. I'm able to do my job better if something's moving around. I can multitask. So
That's crazy.
just for
That is so
general
cool.
wellness, I feel like Strongman is beneficial to everybody.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, and powerlifting is so different in that sense where like I can't even like get up in the morning. Like it's so weird. Like on your joints and just like if you're new to powerlifting and like you're competitive or you're stronger, it's so different because like I would never train for like cardio or anything. I just like I'm like, can I hit this squat and can I hit this bench and can I hit this deadlift? And then outside of that, man, I'm just too tired to like do anything else because I've just put my everything into those 3 lifts. So
Oh, trust me, we are tired. Our bodies
Yeah.
hurt, but there's just something in there where it's like I have to do this. It's almost an addiction.
I think I feel better with doing strongman, like total body wise.
you have to. I mean, like you're so adaptive to like everything.
Like I feel like I could just move better, and that makes me feel healthier.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think that. Like when you think of like strength, you just think of like these big, strong, people that can just like that are kind of like slow, but they're just like really strong, But strong man, like the events, like you have to be quick on your feet and like all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like the opposite. Like you feel better. That's crazy to think of.
We've actually converted quite a few of powerlifters when they ask us like, "What's the experience like?" I'm like, "Okay, that squat you just had on your back, now run 50 feet with it.
Yeah,
Your
that's kinda
deadlift, now
crazy.
hold it for a minute straight." So it's like those different
I
variations.
would
of
recommend it
things,
to
so.
a lot of lifters as like an off-season training because when I switch back to powerlifting, the training's just so much easier and
You're
like
oh, I only have to do this.
I know, yeah.
Or like just really naturally strong powerlifters that have like really good totals and balanced in all 3.
They
They might be able
transfer
to do
very
well
well.
just if they can just make their cardio a little better.
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
transfer
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
like my work capacity just goes so much higher, and then because of that, I can get so many more reps,
Yeah.
or so many more
Yeah, and then, like,
sets,
if you
and then I
switch
get more
to powerlifting-
practice, and yeah,
Yeah, if you switch to powerlifting, you might be even like better in that sense.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like with Strongman, you get just such an adrenaline rush
Yeah.
because you're moving and everything's flying past you. You have an announcer that's on a mic, there's lights and everything, so you just get this whole experience all at
Yeah.
once.
That
so
is cool.
It's
yeah.
pretty
I didn't think
cool.
I literally didn't even think of that until
Yeah,
now.
and I would say that, like the people who are kind of like legends in both sports, I think are people who, at the core of their training, is they just want to be strong. They don't necessarily want to be like, yeah, at a certain level you need to like be like, oh, I want to be a good powerlifter, but like at the very core of that, they want to be
They just wanna be
strong, and they
strong,
just
yeah.
love the fact of being strong, and that keeps them training. The people who kind of like get hyper focused on like, oh, I want to be a really good bencher or a really good deadlifter, they hyper focus on that. They only do that, and then they kind of like max out, like min-max their form.
They're almost limiting themselves. To
Yeah,
that.
yep. And I think being able to kind of vary that, like I know a lot of people don't like the overhead as a bench press trainer. I think I think if you train overhead, it's going to make you a stronger athlete. You might not see immediate effects on it transferring to your bench, but over the long run, it's going to help, I think,
Vice
in my
versa.
opinion.
Like you guys saw me do yesterday, we use bench as an accessory for log, for axle, for everything. So
Yeah.
it's all the same pressing muscles from different angles.
Yeah.
Well-rounded. It's always the goal.
It's kind of cool to see like each of our training and like be motivated by that kind of stuff, and it's cool to have us all in like a group
Absolutely.
and of all of us are competitive in our own sense, so we're all in a house together. It's so cool because that's not normal. Like you're usually like an outsider in that sense, like whether it's like with your family or friends, you're usually like the outcast,
The
that's like
crazy one.
this crazy competitive person that like eats all day and trains and stuff. But it's cool to see that in person. So we're gonna probably head back to the house and eat, refuel. We got a lot of more work to do with Animal, and we're super excited to be here. So
Oh, it's been great. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and thank you so much to
With East Coast Iron.
East Coast Iron for allowing us in their gym today.
They said I felt right at home, and they even let me come in late for a late night session, so that was a big favor to me. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very,
all,
very cool.
especially like Strongman, it's always nerve-wracking to find a gym with the equipment you need. And
Yeah.
it was like,
They have
the
everything.
fact I was able to do everything I needed was.
Yeah.
So thank you to Animal. Use code HACK50.
You know all of us.